start with the running backs, of course, because there's no other place to start here. And I'm fascinated by how you're going to stack these top five, especially after, we have interesting free agents. Josh Jacobs is included in that list. And then, obviously, a young player on the back end in Kenneth Walker. But let's start right at the top with Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, to me, I think as you get deeper in, it gets harder, right? And so it gets more nitpicky. I don't think anyone's going to question Christian McCaffrey. In Shanahan, proved the health, right? Ekeler, too, is obvious. Barkley, assuming he's back with the Giants and Dayball, we expect that to be the case. He's number 3. To me, it gets interesting after that, right? When you start getting into the, again, Jonathan Taylor. So we just mentioned Shane Steichen is going to be the new head coach of the Colts. They need a quarterback. And Steichen, obviously, in Philadelphia, used a multiple running back kind of approach. But he didn't have a Jonathan Taylor on his team. The expectation here is that it will be a run-heavy team. It'll be a team that runs the ball effectively, and Taylor's going to get a lot of work. Jacobs at 5 makes me nervous. He's we interviewed him, another guy that, by the way, picked the Eagles, I believe, and that we interviewed, Jay, but easy guy to root for, and seems like he's coming back to the Raiders.
I think that would be the betting favorite, but certainly it's just difficult because you know which team these other guys are going to be on. You know, the Ekeler, you know their environment, whereas Josh Jacobs could theoretically go anywhere. I think that Taylor's an interesting one because Taylor was the runaway number 1 pick, just consensus number 1 across the board going into this season. And then I think the sneaky thing with Taylor is that when he was healthy, he was fine. He kind of delivered on expectations, had massive game against Houston in week 1, had a massive game against the Raiders in Jeff Saturday's first game as coach, but just dealing with the ankle, dealing with a bad offensive line. He's got huge upside. But to me, the most interesting name on that list of 10 is Kenneth Walker, where we talked to Tyler Lockett on Radio Row, and Tyler Lockett said that Ken Walker was the best rookie he'd ever seen. And that's something where, obviously, you pump up your teammates, but you don't have to say that. You don't have to go to that extreme. And obviously, his explosion. By the way,
not the best rookie running back he's seen.
Yeah, just best rookie.
So that includes DK Metcalf.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I took away.
Take that, DK. Yeah. A little veiled. No. I think with Walker, just his explosiveness, the way he closed the season as well, even on the bum ankle, he basically won them that game against the Rams down the stretch to get them into the playoffs. He's got immense talent, immense upside. I think they can upgrade the offensive line. He is a guy, no one would be shocked if Ken Walker's the number 1 running back in fantasy next year. That's in play.
Oh, it's 100% in play. What's interesting there is, anyone else jump out to you? Are the top 10?
Nick Chubb. Because Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson came back and rust was clearly evident. You wonder what a full training camp looks like for that offense with Deshaun Watson under center. Nick Chubb was great with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. If this offense improves with Watson, what is that going to open up for Chubb? He's somebody that could finish as a top 5 guy.
He could, but he could also finish as running back 15. I mean, think about this, right?
Kareem Hunt hits free agency too.
Yeah. Final 8 games of the season, he had just 1 rushing touchdown. Now, my expectation here was Stefanski, they're always going to run the ball, but they've had to be. Nick Chubb doesn't catch the ball. No. His fantasy value is entirely based on 3 things: on volume, on touchdowns, and the fact he's just really, really good at football. Mm-hmm. He's one of, if not the best, pure runner in the game. But if this offense is more open with Deshaun Watson, if it's more pass-friendly, right? I mean, we saw Donovan Peoples-Jones kind of, have a mini breakout this year, and obviously Amari Cooper had a very nice year. Just another system, assuming Njoku's back as well. Suddenly there's some pass catchers there in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, we think, is going to be a very good NFL quarterback again. And so do they need to run the ball as effectively? Yes, Kareem Hunt could move on, but they have Dearness Johnson, who they like a lot as well. So that's the only question is instead of 22 carries a game, is he getting 15 and 17? And with Deshaun Watson there, who's also a mobile quarterback, do the 12 touchdowns become 9 because Watson keeps 3 himself? Some version of that.
Sure.
And then so there's more a wide range of outcomes with Chubb, more of a wider range of non-injury outcomes with Chubb than I think there are other guys in the top 10.
Yeah, I think he's got a fairly high floor just because of the offensive line, but maybe a lower ceiling. I think maybe if you would take Jonathan Taylor with your first pick at picking at 5 or whatever, who's very high variance, could be the best running back or could have the season that he had this year, then Chubb is probably a good support piece for that just because he's got the high floor.
Yeah, the other one that's interesting there is Joe Mixon, right? and again, this is Florio's beat more than mine, but there's a scenario in which Joe Mixon is not on the Bengals next year. Obviously, there were some off the field issues again that raised its head recently, and seems like that got solved. Who knows though? But Samaje Perine's a really good player, and they like him. And then you sort of think about the fact that they're going to have to pay Burrow, they're going to have to pay Jamar Chase. They've got some cap they need to free up.
Yeah, I think they'd rather keep that Chase T. Higgins combo for Burrow and just go cheap after cheap at running back in the future. So that's one to keep an eye on. Moving on.
So, and if Mixon's on another team, then that changes the equation.
Yep.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.